is Courtney Torres. I am the Special Programs Coordinator for Innovation and Commercialization. I manage EpICMavs, and today we will have two guest speakers from our Counseling and Psychological Services, a department on UTA's campus. So we have two ambassadors with us today. We usually have everybody introduce themselves, so I will pass it over to Devin before we introduce our guest speakers.
Wonderful. Hi, everybody. So nice to meet you. Like Courtney said, my name is Devin. I'm the program manager over at Tech Fort Worth, and Tech Fort Worth partners with UTA to help host EpICMavs. We also have EpICMavs deep dives over the summer. So if you're an entrepreneur looking to start a business, that is the perfect time. Feel free to reach out to Courtney or I at any point to discuss that. But very excited for today and for the rest of the semester of EpICMavs. We have some really good topics planned. And I mean, I may not be a student anymore, but I've been really looking forward to this wellness, balancing life stress. So yeah, that's my introduction.
Would anybody else like to introduce themselves? I know we don't have very many people on yet.
I'll just say hi really fast and then I have to leave in 5 minutes. But I'm Sarah Jane Murdoch, and I'm at over on the UT Dallas side of things. So with their Innovation and Entrepreneurship Institute.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, well, Reza, we will have you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Just a first check. Can everyone hear my voice? Is my voice clearly heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Reza. I'm a second-year CAPS ambassador at UTA. I'm also a PhD student in the Computer Science and Engineering department. Been lucky to be part of CAPS for the third semester in a row, and I'm glad to be here with you guys. Eliana.
All right, so I'm Eliana Westbrooks. Can you guys hear me well? Okay.
Yes.
It is my first year as a CAPS ambassador here. I am currently a freshman at UTA, and I am studying in psychology. And it's also really nice to be here presenting for you guys today.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so we want to talk about stress management and mostly also wellness. What is wellness? And basically define stress and talk about it a bit more. So I want you guys to imagine yourself right now, or it could be even in the future, your ideal self, how you would like to live ideally from all aspects of your life. Just visualize it. Again, it can be for these days or it can be sometime in the future. What parts does it have? How's the education? How's your professional side? How's your relationship, platonic or romantic relationship side? How's your mental, physical health? How's your spirituality? Like all these different sides, just imagine it. If you were to compromise on some of them, which ones would it be? Another question, would you be able to take all of them together forward at the same time and reach that maximum level that you want? How many of those things are you currently paying attention to? Which ones will make you happier? Will it be the happiest if you're the best at your professional life, but not so much in your physical and mental health? So this is what we call wellness. It's not just the physical wellness, it's all these different sides of your life that create this whole puzzle of happiness. Once you can pay attention to all of this, you can be in your optimal condition to achieve your goals and have a happier life. So that's what we want to talk about right now. Personally, when some of these prioritized pieces of pie for me is lacking, I feel that something is wrong and I don't feel happy. So I'm sure that some of you can, each of you can relate to this story.
All right, and adding on to a little bit of what is wellness, this is a wellness wheel, and here it illustrates emotional, intellectual, physical, social, environmental, financial, and spiritual dimensions. And this wheel is different depending on the person and where they are in life. So the shapes may not always be equal. Some might be bigger and some might be smaller than others. Next slide.
So another thing that's important is to feel what is stress. Uh, can everyone identify stress as a physical symptom or a mental symptom? Is it always something bad, or it can be good? Usually, not all the stress is bad, and it's just a response of your body and your mental system to prepare you against a demand or a challenge in your life. Because just think of yourself as a machine. It would have been great if all the machines could be, with the press a button, could go in that critical mode to be more prepared, to be more immune in the face of all the challenges that are coming. So what stress is, it's just a response that your body is having to face those challenges. So everyone will face it, whether they like it or not. So it's very natural. The source of this stress could be perceived or real. And what that means is that sometimes what you're stressed about isn't really something that's happening in reality. It's just your thoughts projecting them in your life. And of course, we have acute and like chronic stresses. In acute cases, it has like a trigger. Whether it's an exam or whether it's a death of someone or a relationship breakup. And chronic stress is something that lasts for a long time, and then of course it's something that should be medically and clinically addressed.
All right, maintaining balance. So maintaining balance in life is pretty important. And I think it's especially important at times like this today where things seem to be getting a little repetitive or a little stressful. So one way I know that I maintain balance in general is just by making sure I have an efficient mindset and having things prepared and organized ahead of time. And also I like to keep my work life and social life pretty healthy, sometimes scheduling dates to hang out with friends and just making sure that assignments are getting done at that particular time. Most importantly, maintaining balance is also making sure that you make time for yourself. Sometimes, just sitting down, reading a book or watching TV or listening to your favorite song can really just help bring together everything and just make everything in life a little bit more balanced. Next slide.
So what causes stress? First, I'll share what caused me stress. I mean, the last thing that caused me stress. And then I want to hear from you guys. What causes stress for you usually, or the latest thing that caused you stress? Last thing, one of the things was actually preparing for this presentation, because it was a couple days ago when I was like, okay, I have to be ready because I don't want to be here wasting your time. So I have to have something to offer. In order to have something to offer, I have to do some preparation. So I had to integrate into my schedule. So my body was like, okay, it's a challenge in your life. Get prepared. So it got manifested into that form of emotion that I felt it in my body. You can even look for it. Where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel the stress? So my question from you guys, whether you want to type it in the chat box or you want to speak up. First question, do you currently feel stress? Any of you that currently for a reason feels stress? Nobody here feels stress?
Yes, I mean, just trying to get work done, all the work that needs to be done, and make sure things are done on time. There's that stress, and kids. My kids are grown, but still constantly stressing me out. So
What kind of stress is it? Can you explain a bit more? How does it feel to you, the stress?
Well, for work stress, trying to get things done, it's just maybe urgency or just, trying to feeling like I don't have enough time to get things done. Thoughts, just worry. I mean, it has been before in previous, like my previous job, where I would lose sleep from work stress, and that sort of thing. I don't have that extent of it, but it's just all the things that need to get done and staying on top of them, kind of thing.
Thanks for sharing your experience. Anyone else who wants to share?
I was trying to put in the chat, but it's not letting me. It's I meant to write in not as much as I felt it at the beginning of March. I think there was a lot of mystery and fear and not so great anticipation of how the rest of the year would turn out. So now that we're, in October, I'm not as stressed out.
How can you do you feel it in certain part of your body? Like physically, how do you feel the stress?
Shoulders, elbows, knees, and toes, I guess. So I do meditate and yoga and massage therapy, but I haven't been able to do any of that since pretty much March. So I think being mindful of not doing things that are in your regular wellness regimen can cause more stress.
That's interesting that you do all, I mean, you've been doing all of that to protect yourself, and now you haven't been doing it. I'm wondering, as a question for myself, if you had felt the same way, if you would have felt the same way had you not stopped those the mindfulness. I don't know.
Yeah, I need to get back at it.
All the best.
All right, expectations and stress. So I know expectation is like a really big deal to maybe a lot of people. I know it is for me. Growing up, my parents had high expectations, mainly just for like schoolwork and just being the best person you can be. And growing up that way, it made my expectations of myself even higher. So I was always trying to go above and beyond with everything I did. And sometimes it just felt physically impossible, which led to a lot of stress for me. But I do want to say that it's okay to have high expectations, to want to go out of your comfort zone and really experience all the things that you want to work hard and work towards. I would just say to just make sure that you're taking time again to really reflect on yourself and just know that everything that you do, something's going to come good out of it. So just know that those expectations, just keep working towards those goals and you'll reach them. And the stress it's a normal part of life. Sometimes you just have to take a break and just recharge and come back and try again. Next slide.
Another point about stress is that, I mean, we touched about it earlier, that it's not like no stress is good. You need some sort of stress, because if I didn't have stress, if I hadn't had stress, I wouldn't have probably prepared for this by any means, and then I would have felt stressed a bit more when I was doing it. So a little bit of stress is necessary. Too much of it is, of course, deteriorating. Um, it's about finding that region of optimal stress for yourself, which I can imagine is different from one person to another.
So symptoms of stress, as Reza mentioned, stress can do a lot of things to our bodies. And according to the National Institute of Mental Health, prolonged stress can disturb sleep, your digestive system, cause anger, or even irritability. During a stress response, your heart might pound, your muscles can tighten, and your blood pressure can rise. So prolonged stress can really have a negative impact on your life. And I know for me, when I'm really stressed out, I get really bad headaches, and that's kind of my indicator of needing to take a break before continuing. And some things I like to do is to, take a hot shower to just ease any tension, just sit back and relax a little bit. So, what are some of y'all's symptoms of stress or things that just let you know that maybe I need to take a break?
I know for me, my body, like my brain will just shut down and I like just can't think anymore. And so that's kind of like my sign of like, okay, maybe it's time to call in for the night or, switch over to something that's not as, taxing on my body or mind. Take a break.
I definitely agree with that. I know with me, just like studying and learning, my brain definitely can tell me, hey, relax, calm down.
I think it's just my thoughts getting away from me. Mostly it's just like in my thoughts. I don't get headaches from it. Sometimes I might get emotional. I mean, I think in my younger years, I was less able to deal with it. But now I set myself up for less stress in most of what I do so that I don't get overwhelmed by stress. So.
I think that also goes into maintaining balance, which seems to be what kind of helped you out there in that situation. And I see that Courtney had said that she gets headaches as well. Thank you guys for sharing. Next slide.
So we had this slide already. So what I wanted to ask you and talk about a little bit is that it doesn't have to be like all of these areas doesn't have to be equal for you to have an optimal uh, condition. One thing that I do usually is that I give some percentage to each of these pieces of pie, and of course they should all add up to 100. And you decide for yourself what is that percentage that you want from your spiritual side, or what is that percentage you care about your physical side. For example, I'm not a professional athlete by any means, so it doesn't make sense for me to have 50% of my pie on physical side. If it's not so, then I shouldn't have that expectation for myself. Or if I have that expectation, then I should have this awareness that that needs to be like as important as 50%. So it's important to know the potential of each of these for yourself and manage it the same way you want. You know, we see so many people that are brilliant, like in my area, computer science. A lot of people are brilliant in what they do. And by the way, computer science is different than programming only, just FYI, because a lot of you might think that way. But I'm going to give an example in that context. Some people are really good at programming and or whatever profession they do, but they lack that emotional, empathetical touch in their interaction and relationships with others. They become such robots. So you can see that their pie looks imbalanced if that's something they care about. If they don't care about and they're the happiest they want to be without the social interaction, then that's good for them, I guess.
Managing time efficiently, I kind of touched on with the maintaining balance. I know managing time can be a little difficult. It's been kind of hard for me this past month or so, kind of adjusting to college and the workload. So, what really helped me with managing time was definitely sticking to a schedule, like to a T, trying not to venture too far off because that can kind of make your stress a little bit more because you're trying to make up for the time that you've lost. I also make sure that I set reminders so that I'm less likely to forget the things that I do have set up. And I also learned that not managing your time can cause burnout for sure, making you not want to complete your work or making it more difficult to complete those tasks. Do you guys have any specific ways that you try to manage your time efficiently?
So I have learned for work that I try to block my time and try to not, I was just talking about this with some others earlier today. I try to not be watching my email constantly. So I try to just check email maybe a couple times a day, but not be spending all my time in email to try to get so that I can get other projects done. And I block my time so that there's some things that I know I need to get done. Like every week, I have a block of time scheduled for that activity. And when I'm done in the evening and on the weekends, I don't check my work emails so that I'm separated from work, which is harder to do when you're working from home. So I leave the office and I don't come in the office if if it's evening or weekend time. So just trying to disconnect and have other activities that I do that are feeding me and, building me up and giving me, happiness and however you want to put it. But the other things that feed me and build me up in my life, trying to make sure I have time for those things as well.
Right. And that's definitely important, just having that healthy balance. And that is a great way to minimize stress and just to stay focused on your work. When you mentioned trying not to check your email too much, I'm the same way with working and my phone. My phone is a really big distraction for me. So I definitely understand with that.
Yeah.
I also think it's important to have like a cutoff time. How Terry mentioned she doesn't check, her email over the weekends. I manage a lot of social media accounts. So when I first started in social media, it was really overwhelming because you're always on social media. And so my supervisor at the time was like, you need to learn how to manage your time and not stress what's happening online after a certain hour. And you can deal with those comments and reactions the next day and put that into like your work schedule. Because I think social media really consumes a lot of our day and we have to like have boundaries almost.
Right, I agree. Those boundaries are definitely important, and social media is time consuming for sure. I know for me, I lose track of time. Like I can be on TikTok for hours and not even notice. So I definitely agree with you on that. Would anyone else like to share? Nope. Okay, next slide.
So in the face of stress, a lot of us compromise for all. Physical activities are sleep or nutrition. But these three groups give us what stress takes from us, and that's the immunity of our our body. When we're through stress, our immunity goes down. And eating healthy food, sleeping well, and doing physical activity boosts us up back. So it's important, again, looking at it from that whole pie perspective, to know where to compromise on what. Uh, so this is just a little reminder to all of us that some things aren't worth the compromise, and definitely physical health, sleep. A lot of us sometimes work make us to get some sleep for some nights. While it's understandable, sometimes you don't have time. You have to create that time somehow. Uh, Lack of sleep will in the medium term or even like immediate short term will fire back. And another thing is that when it comes to eating, like to me, I remember when I have a deadline, sometimes I compromise on my food because I'm the person who cooks for myself. I have to cook for myself. And if I want to be also economical with my budgets, take care of my budget as well, I don't want to eat outside every day, let's say, or multiple times a week. Then what happens is I want to have something quick, and that having something quick forces me to having necessary not healthy food. You go for like I'm known in our lab as the Kit Kat guy because I go and buy Kit Kat from the vending machine sometimes just to have a little fuel that will last me 3 4 hours. So I go home and then I cook there because I don't have time to cook 2 times during the day. So I do it one time. Um, but it's important to know like those foods in the long run are not really good sources of energy. So at least I acknowledge that.
So, cultivating relationships. As humans, we are social creatures and we need interaction with others. So, with that being said, feeling stressed out, it may help to talk to someone about it or just hang out with some friends to ease up some tension you may be feeling. I know being a freshman in college for me and hours away from home, I realized that if I'm feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed, I'll just send my mom a text message, have a little conversation, or maybe text my sister or something like that. Or even some of my friends back from home, that really helps me feel a lot better and just let go of that feeling. So if you're extremely stressed out or overwhelmed, maybe trying to talk to someone, whether it being a family member, a friend, or even a pet, if you want to talk to something and not really get a response, might really help you out in that stressful situation. Next slide.
So now that we all have stress for different reasons, what are those ways that we use to relax? Like someone here said that on weekends they have some no time for social media or their email. That's something I can relate to. It doesn't need it doesn't need for me to be weekend to ignore my emails. When I'm doing something else, my mind naturally shuts down on other sources. Emails aren't necessarily on their own stressful, but if that's something demanding from someone outside, that can put stress in my life, well, I cannot do anything about it. So I have a certain time during the day that I check my emails. Unless I just see an email right now and run it to basically it comes across the screen. That's another story. But I get notifications, but I don't check them until some later parts of the day. Also, sometimes I have some uh, no phone days, like people talked here. It's not just social media. Personally, for me, phones can be really damaging for my mental health. At different times, if I'm in a very sensitive situation in life for different reasons, sometimes I need to get away from my own to get some space. Having playing tennis, I like playing tennis. That's something that helps me when I'm in a bad situation. Sometimes reading motivational books, not all the time, depending on the situation. Sometimes. Um, how do you guys face your stresses, and what are those activities that you do to relax? I would like you guys to share some of your ways.
So I recently started to learn how to make soap, like getting the lye and mixing all the oils, and then you can do like different designs and colors. And it's just been a really fun hobby to kind of just zone out and do something and make something that's useful. So I've enjoyed doing that since quarantine.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? I'm really intrigued. Soap. I've never heard that.
I learned everything from YouTube. So you can learn how to do anything just from going on YouTube. I took about 2-3 weeks to watch videos and learn different techniques, and it's definitely a learning experience. Some things work and some things don't, but you can make it out of a variety of different oils that have different benefits for your skin, and then you could do fun colors and scents. So I'm working on some holiday soaps.
What soaps though?
Um, I've made them out of like olive oil, coconut oil, sunflower oil. You can pretty much make it out of any types of oil, and they all have different benefits for you, and the combination has different benefits as well. So just doing a fun little hobby that doesn't take much thought. And I'm not on a computer.
That sounds good.
That's funny. I also picked a non-computer hobby to get into. I started gardening, which is hilarious because I could not keep a plant alive during my undergrad. And then I was gifted one that people said you couldn't kill. And then during quarantine, I have just kept planting and planting, and it is so fun. And it's nice. And it also like it gets me outdoors because I have some like outdoor little trees. We grew a hibiscus bush thing. And it's just so fun. And it was nice to like get outside, and I was very thankful for having a little bit of a patio area where my quarantine space was.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's nice that you're doing something outside to get you, motivated and moving and not stuck on your computer.
Yeah, it was so fun.
And then Pravesh put in the chat that he watches funny videos, don't we all?
Funny videos. Like, does he want to explain like what funny videos are? Like YouTubers, you mean?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. I generally watch like Charlie Chaplin like old videos. It's kind of funny.
Interesting.
Yeah. And sometimes AFV as well, America's Funniest Videos.
What is the last one?
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat the last thing you said?
It's AFV, America's Funniest Videos. It's kind of fun.
Interesting. Yeah, well, my source of fun is usually stand-up comedy on YouTube or some specific YouTubers. But interesting. Thanks for sharing.
All right.
Oh, I think his audio might be breaking up.
Yeah. I think he's also in a crowded space, relatively crowded space with noise.
Yeah, I'm actually in the crowded space, so I'm kind of muting it.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's
about
okay.
that.
That's okay. All right, so we go to the next slide.
All right, letting go. It is definitely important to let go of things that you can't control in life. I know sometimes I find myself dwelling on things that have happened, like maybe I got into an argument with a friend, or maybe I failed a quiz. And I know sometimes it feels easier to just stay upset or angry, but I've come to realize that it does feel so much better just letting go of all of that stress or negative emotion or maybe pain. One thing that I've really done in the past to get rid of any stress or negative emotion was to write down whatever was bothering me on a rock and just throw it in the lake. And that was my way of getting rid of it forever. Won't think about it anymore and just move on. Do you guys have any ways that you let go of things in life?
I keep a journal, so just writing out like my day kind of puts things in perspective. Or if I get angry about it, I usually write things out and kind of reflect on it. And then I'm like, okay, those were just quick words out of anger. And I usually change my tone or my messaging after that.
Do you keep those pages or do you get rid of them? What do you do with that?
It depends on who I'm messaging. If it's a draft email, I might type it all out and then just delete it, you know. But if it's in my journal, that's something that I keep. I've kept a journal since I started learning how to write. So it's interesting to have that to reflect back on and to see how, I've grown and gotten older
Mm-hmm.
over the years. So I think that's a good thing to keep, just to reflect on your own self.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. Would anyone else like to share?
I love the idea of throwing the rocks, though.
Yeah. I learned that from a church camp that I went to. There's a way of just letting go, and it kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, because you're actually getting rid of that energy.
Right. Alrighty. I think we can go to the next slide.
So whether it's through mindfulness or meditation or just for decreasing stress, breathing can be key. And for people who've done some sort of meditation in the past, this wouldn't be anything new. But whether it's new to you or an old habit, let's try some very brief breathing technique so you can use when you feel stressed to calm your body down. Remember, stress is a physical response of your body. So if you go focus on your body in a peaceful way, you might address the source of stress, which is if it comes from your mind. So that's why I want to focus on the body and how it can alleviate some of that stress. So if you're in a place that you can sit with your back straight, that'll be awesome. If you're laying on a bed, that's cool too. Just be in a comfortable position. Then you may want to close your eyes or not, but I prefer to do it so I zone out from the external distractions. Something interesting that I saw was that we tend to keep our belly flat because of obvious reasons. I do too. But in this exercise, no judgment. Nobody's gonna look at you. So just let your belly out. Just let it get loose. No judgment on that. And through your nose, just inhale the breath slowly in through your stomach and fill up your whole stomach, not your chest. Some of us are used to breathing through our chest, so our chest goes up and down, but you want the air go all the way slowly to your belly. Slowly take the air in. Once you can no longer inhale, slowly let the air out and exhale. Notice the flow of the air. See where you can feel it the easiest. Is it in your nostrils, the back of your throat, or in your belly? After you completely exhale the air out, your belly goes back down again. Do it one more time. Through your nose, take all the air in very slowly. As you take the breath in, your belly expands. Go until you can no longer inhale. Notice the little pause after the whole inhalation is over and slowly exhale. Again, notice the flow of the air, its path. Do it one or more, two more times. I'm going to do it with you guys. It's important to focus on the breath because it keeps your mind focused and concentrated on the present moment and away from all the distractions that can cause you stress. Besides, taking the whole air in will flatter your cells and your body as a whole. So it will generally leave you in a better mood that you had a couple minutes ago. So this is something useful, a very fundamental, basic, um, basically practice with if you're in a stressful situation. I hope it can be helpful to you guys.
And I know we're on the next slide, but adding on to that, there's also this app. It's called the Mindfulness app, and I've used it before just to kind of let go and, like you said, work on breathing. And whether you're a beginner or experienced with meditation, it's really good. And I actually put the link in the chat if you guys wanted to check it out. All right. And here, you can reach us or just get in contact with CAPS. There's the MAV Talk. We have a 24-hour crisis line. There's the phone number for that. There's the therapy assistant online, the TAO, and then there's also a Thrive app. And then with CAPS, you also get 6 free counseling sessions per semester, but also just be aware that they are through Zoom. They're virtual meetings. Next slide.
So yeah, feel free to stay connected to our CAP social media accounts through Twitter, Instagram, and we have a podcast. And me and Aileen are 2 of the 3 members on it. So as long as our voice isn't annoying to you guys, feel free to check it out on Spotify and YouTube. Our first episode of this semester will come out, and we're gonna have very interactive podcasts. It's called podcasts. It's a podcast, of course. that you guys can voice your opinion on different topics. We'll have guests from normal students and people. You can message us. We even have like an email address that you can email directly to our podcast team. So check out our Spotify for mental health related podcasts from CAPS for everyone else, and also Facebook for people who are used to using Facebook more. So yeah, that was it from us. If you have any questions, any comments, feedback, we're here to listen.
That was awesome. I am really interested in listening to your podcast. I love listening to podcasts, so I usually listen to it while I'm going for a walk outside or something. So that would kind of kill two birds with one stone. being mindful and listening to something pertaining to mindfulness. So I really appreciate your time today. I'm going to stop recording.